Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. I am just waiting for anyone else who might be wanting to join this live stream. So, welcome once again to another live stream of Erasmus. Really, I'm always so excited to talk about Erasmus and pretty much pour into anyone who wants to go ahead and apply for an Erasmus. So if you're new here, you've never heard about Erasmus, you've never heard about who this is Nduta, who is Nduta, why is she here, why is she talking about Erasmus every single time? I want to introduce you. Welcome to this channel. This channel is about several things: scholarships, nutrition, study abroad, life abroad, etc, etc, etc. So my name is Nduta Wambura. I'm the Kenya country representative for Erasmus. And if you've never heard about Erasmus Scholarship Network is one of the largest scholarship networks within the European Union. And currently you can benefit by applying for an Erasmus joint master degree. And that's the reason that we are here, to enable you to know what's the process of applying for an Erasmus joint master's program. Is it worth it? What is required of you? You know, all the things that you need to take care of in terms of the documents, in terms of maybe personal statements, recommendation letters, CVs, all these kind of things that we tend to tell you, life abroad, and so on and so forth. So if you are listening right now, please put in on your comments section, tell me where you're listening from. And of course, if you do have any questions, we are going to answer them at the very, very end of this broadcast. So please feel free to tell a friend, to tell another friend, to tell another friend that we are here and we are ready to answer any questions that you might be having. And today, it's my great privilege to be joined by one of the most amazing program representatives. Her name is Jennifer Confidence, all the way from Nigeria. She has been going through this great program, and she has had it all, really, coming from Nigeria, being in Europe and going into different countries, having her experience and telling us, how did she do it? How did she write a good statement? What happened? Is it that she knew a tall relative that connected her to the masters that she's studying right now, or what exactly happened? So it's my great privilege to introduce the program representative, Erasmus Mundus Association program representative for the International Master in Security. And I want to say this right because I have been getting it wrong all week. So it is a mouthful, scholarship. So I want to say it exactly as it is. So she's the program representative for the Erasmus International Master in Security, Intelligence, and Strategic Studies. Wow. So without further ado, welcome, Jennifer. And I see, Stephen, you're already here. You're listening from Gong Matasia in Olekajwado County in Kenya. Welcome. So I want to introduce Jennifer. Let me get you here. Hi, tell us, who are you?
I'm Jennifer. Jennifer from Nigeria, and I'm on the Erasmus program for Security, Intelligence, and Strategic Studies, like she already introduced me. And I'm currently in my second year. For the first year, I was in Glasgow, that's the UK, and then I moved to Dublin, which is Ireland, and now I'm in Prague, Czech Republic, and hoping to move to Germany for my fourth mobility. And I guess that's basically it. Jennifer Confidence. What else? I have a YouTube channel, Jennifer Confidence. I think that's the most introduction I could give.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot to you for sure. It's not just, you're a student in now studying your international masters in security and IMISS. I know I'm saying that wrong.
IMSISS. You can just say IMSISS.
IMSISS.
Yeah.
So much. Yeah. Yes. So I know that for a fact, there's a process that you had to go through in terms of applying for an Erasmus joint master program. But before we get to that, I want to know, so what was your background like in Nigeria? What did you used to do? And what brought you into, having an interest to apply for an Erasmus Erasmus joint master program?
Yeah. Okay. So I, in terms of education, I have my background in international relations and strategic studies from Ibnedio University, a private university. Is not most times not that popular. You get to hear about the public schools more. Private university, and then I moved on to enroll for a master's degree in policy and development. So in course of doing my NYSC, that's National Youth Service. I don't know if you guys have it, but it's a thing in Nigeria where when you graduate, you get to work with the government, or rather they would post you to any institution. The government would post you to any institution, and then you work with the institution for 1 year. So I met a whole lot of people who were really interested in applying for scholarships and all that. And to be honest, I didn't really know much about scholarship. The first time I got to know about scholarship was after I graduated. And then my dad was like, you should apply for Commonwealth scholarship and all that. So that was the most I knew. And then a lot of us who lived together were trying to apply for it. And then I got to know about Erasmus. I sometimes came across this my program, but it looked complicated. I came across it, I think, was it 2018? But I didn't really know much about it and applications, abroad. And so it's always complicated, and it was really complicated for me then. That was the first time I came across it, but I didn't really know whether it came with scholarship or all that. But sometime I found one of my colleagues whom I did NYC with, that's the service with. And he just came I resumed for my other masters, and then he came, he's like, he got a scholarship, and this is it. I was like, scholarship? And he's like, that was May 2019. And he was like, yes, and he's leaving September. And I was like, ah, in my mind, I was like, she's all of us that came to this Zaria together. And now this, yeah, because for all I cared, like my dad didn't really, as at then I was not, the job I was doing was not paying that much, because I just finished the government job and all that. My dad is like, I don't need to pay for your school fees again. You should get a scholarship. You can actually get a scholarship. When you have a dad that really believes in you and things like that. In my head, I'm like, okay, how will I just stay and somebody will just give me money? I didn't really get to know so much about scholarships. So immediately I saw him and he got the scholarship. I was like, damn, I'm getting this scholarship, like, by fire by force. Nigerians will understand this time. I was like, by fire by force, I'm getting it. And so that's when I became really serious. So before that time, before I saw my colleague who got Erasmus, before that time I've been applying for other ones, Commonwealth, but I didn't really put so much interest in learning how to write personal statements and other requirements, different scholarships with what they require. If you look at Chevening, it's more targeted towards young professionals and a whole lot of that. So it pays attention to, job experience and some other things then though. So I didn't, as at then, before I saw my friend, I didn't really pay attention to what the scholarships were requiring and the target of these different scholars. I'll just try to write anything and submit, and then they will bounce me. They will give me love later. So, but when I saw my friend, it woke something in me. I'm like, damn, hell no, I'm getting this scholarship. And so I became serious about it. That was May 2019. And so I became serious about it. I started applying all the available ones. Then I went back and then I found my course again. And then I was like, okay, security, intelligence, and strategy makes sense, makes sense. So I would just go ahead and apply for it. And being someone who has always been interested in the policy aspect of security. And as at then, I just resumed for a master's in policy and development. I was like, okay, maybe I could just go for this security and just focus. At the end of it, I would just focus in the policy aspect of security. And so I started looking into it. And that's when I actually I became serious. So I applied for a couple of scholarships that year. I applied for Commonwealth, applied for Chevening, and then I applied for Erasmus. But my Erasmus own was actually I didn't go home for Christmas because of this Erasmus application, because where I stayed was at the other end of the country. I'm from the south of my country, but I was then living at the northern part of my country. I didn't go home, like I was so serious with it. I was like, I'm getting it, like I don't care however it's coming. So I became so serious. I dedicated so much of my time to researching about the Erasmus, what they wanted, and a whole lot of it I was just so much into it and trying to catch up with what they will require, because applications was opening by the end of 2019, and so I needed to apply. So by that May I started planning to catch up with what they needed in terms of experience, in terms of other things. I started catching up, and then I started applying to get my certificate. Like in Nigeria, they usually, your certificate could take a couple of years, maybe 3 years or 2 years. I started applying to get it. And so I was like, I started ticking the boxes. I wrote down everything I needed, and then I started ticking the boxes. And that's how, and then I applied for it. And I was just sitting down somewhere in my room, my small room there, and I would just be thinking about my life. I'm like, this kind of stress, like it sometimes it's not always that cool to be studying and be stressing so much about maybe where to get money and a whole lot of it. And so I was just thinking about my life. I'm like, I'm applying for this one and I'm going to get it like by fire by force. And thankfully, like I got it. And yeah, I'm here.
Wow, that is quite the story. So, your inspiration came from several places. It's your father, it's you saying that, hey, I can get this, honestly speaking. So, I'm going to sit down, put in the work, and ensure that I can be able to get in. So, like, it's so amazing to hear such stories, because I keep telling my Kenyan community, like, keep trying, do the work that is needed, sit down, concentrate, ask the right questions, get your documents together, prepare ahead of time. These are the same things that you actually did. And here you are, right? So
Yeah.
that's such an amazing story. So, which means that you had a background, or you had an interest in security and policy, like you mentioned. So that is what led you towards choosing this specific masters, right?
Yeah, yeah. And one thing too that I forgot to mention, as at then I already started working on an organization, building my organization is focused on peace, and it was majorly targeted at young people, and looking at building young people as strategic pillars of peace in their communities and all that. And I was like, in academics, I'm really interested in the area of security, and in practice I'm interested in the area of peace building and all of that. So the course really suits into my interest in in professional life and in academics, what I really wanted. So I was like, okay, that's it. And the other course which I kind of found interest into was one masters in African studies. There's one in African studies, yeah, but I eventually didn't apply to that one because I think somehow the spirit of my ancestors told me I should apply for this one. And so I just went with what my ancestors said.
Yeah. I mean, if you're listening to this much later and you're wondering what is the spirit of ancestors, if you're from Kenya or from Nigeria, you know how we do. And the spirit of ancestors can actually apply even when you're cooking and you're putting so much salt, etc.
Yeah.
That's a thing. It's a thing that happens in our
Yeah.
African countries. So, wow. So, now, which means now you only focused on one master's, after choosing on the catalog. And I know the African master's is actually very, very new, which is something that we spoke the other day about. And, now you choosing and focusing on this master's, you are able to sit down over a period of time between, you said in May is when you started applying for the, getting your documents together, etc. And then in December, you didn't go for Christmas because you wanted to hit the deadline and sit down and work on it. So, did you have some sort of help? Did you have someone looking into your personal statements, someone guiding you, someone mentoring you? I know the Erasmus and Nigeria community is quite strong on this. So, I don't know whether you had some sort of help or.
As at then, I didn't, to be honest, I didn't know about Erasmus Nigeria until I got the scholarship. And when I got to know about them was when my program requested for me to submit what's it called, proof of residency, so that they would know how much I would be paid for my is it travel cost? Yeah. So that was when I got to know about Erasmus, because I was searching online trying to identify what is actually proof of residency. And that's when I came across one of the Facebook posts by Erasmus Nigeria. And then that's when I knew that, oh, there's actually a community. And then I reached out to them and they gave me ideas on what to do. So, but then I had an uncle who, barrister Emeka Abbott. So I don't know if he would ever watch this, but yeah, thank you so much. But he was really helpful in my other applications when I was applying for Commonwealth and Chevney. And so when I wrote my essays, he went through them for Commonwealth and Chevney. He was always going through them. And anytime I write, he would always make some corrections and all that. So that's where I learned how to write my SOP. So when I was eventually writing my Erasmus SOP, I didn't have to send it to anybody. I sat down by myself, given the knowledge I've already gained from writing other essays, scholarship essays. So I sat down by myself and I wrote it, edited it. And then I think he was also the one that told me that I should always use Grammarly to check, my tenses and all that. And I just, from the idea that from the previous guidance he had already given me in writing other scholarship applications that I was making, I just used that knowledge that I got from, talking with him, because he's actually a very busy person. And most of the times when we talk is 11 midnight and all that. So sometimes I felt really guilty or felt bad for keeping him awake. By that time, 11 till 1 a.m., we are talking and he's going through my work and all that. So sometimes, when you're really bothering, I felt I was bothering him because he's a really busy person. And if you know Lagos very well, you know that people in Lagos are always busy. So I just decided, I was like, okay, since he has always been teaching me and I've learned from what the previous ones he has reviewed, I would do this one by myself. And so I sat down from the knowledge and then I wrote it, finished, used Grammarly and other things, other pointers he gave to me in my previous write-ups and all that. I used it, wrote it down, and then submitted. And yeah, I actually got it.
Wow. So like I know, like for a fact, writing statements and all that is usually a very, very huge task, especially the statement of purpose. And this is something that we're going to talk about. Maybe you can give us a few pointers as we go through the whole live stream. Guys, if you're joining us right now, welcome to this live stream, and please leave your comments. Tell us where you're listening from, which questions you might be having. It could be just a general question about your application. It doesn't have to be about this exact program. It can be about any other program. We are here to assist. Personally, I know I did my master's a long time ago, between 2015 and 2017, and things have changed quite a lot since then. And I attest to the fact that, what Jennifer is saying right now, you really, really do need to get yourself together, work on the application process. In case you do have some assistance, in case you do have some great mentors, use them to the maximum, really. And such tools nowadays, it's so easy to even have Grammarly, checking your phrases, whether you've written your personal statement and you've rephrased it in so many words that do not make sense, that are just jumbled up. That is something that, some of us didn't even have access to, because by then Grammarly, you had to pay for it for you to have access to it. Nowadays, there's a free version of it, which you can actually use and even install for your Word document and get your statements corrected, get maybe if, in case you have a typo and you don't know about it. These are things that you can actually use. There are so many tools that you can use nowadays for you to be able to, follow through the requirements that have been asked. Because if it's 500 words, like I keep saying, it's not 1,000 words they've asked for. They've asked for 500 words. Stick to what they have requested, and all these kind of things that are available to you. So please utilize them. So welcome. Leave your comment, leave your question. We'll definitely be answering it in a few. So now let's get into the nitty-gritties of your master's program. So you say that you had your specific interests, and of course you have your interest in peace, building, and all that kind of thing. So if somebody is coming onto the catalog today and is choosing this international masters in security, why? I mean, like, what experience should they have before? Is it that, it's like usually some of the Erasmus masters programs, they have a varied, a number of people that they take, depending on the subjects that they want. And sometimes they don't just look at the undergraduate, what you did, what is your background. They look at the experience that you have had, whether that's an internship, whether that's volunteer, whether that's a project that you might have had. So what caliber of person, would be applying for this masters? If you get what I mean, is it somebody who's done, geography, international relations, or there's a whole broad range of people who can apply?
Okay, so my program is multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary. So we have people from, so long as you have something to do with security, intelligence, and all that, you're welcome. So we'll have people from computer science background, pure computer science background. We'll have people from international law. We'll have people from engineering, different parts. So there's really no specific program, so long as it has something to do with security. Just like COVID, if you have a background in health and all that, you equally have a chance. I'm taking a course now on health and security where they're teaching us about COVID, Ebola, HIV, and a whole lot of that. So long as your course has something to do with security, any aspect of security, you're welcome to apply. Yeah, basically maybe peace, conflicts, anything, and even crypto. People now are talking, like me now at the moment, I'm currently building on the policy and security aspect of crypto and all that. So it's actually a thing. So if you're an undergraduate in international relations or political science or security and or crime or sociology, we'll have a whole lot of people, and maybe you focused on security aspect of crypto or policy aspect of crypto and all that. These are, conversations that are ongoing in the area of security and all that. So you're welcome to apply, so long as, yeah, sometimes too, your experience, you might have studied let's say chemical engineering or something that you might not think is that's related, but you've been working in the field and all that. So you're welcome to apply. If you are good with your computers and all that, you're welcome to apply. I'm taking a cybersecurity course. There are courses on AI, artificial intelligence, and human nexus. There's a course on that. There's a course on artificial intelligence, sociology of technologies, and all that. Like, we have good number of courses and all that. So you're welcome. It's open to everybody, almost everybody, I think, so long as it has something to do with security or conflict, peace, and all that.
So, in other words, you're saying if somebody even did like a business course for their undergraduate and then went into maybe information technology, and they've been dealing with things to do with security or cyber security and that kind of thing, they qualify to apply for this master's, right?
Yeah, of course, so long as you are able to show a link. It's like working in the bank. You might think, okay, the bank does not have anything, but then there are cyber crimes. There are, frauds that are committed that could be used. You see a lot of people, maybe some manipulations in the bank, and bank details could hack into accounts and all that. So long as you're able to show that you worked in a bank and all that, it has a lot to do with security. And yeah, you're good to go, so long as you're able to show it, that this is it. Yeah, because it's a very wide course. It does not just focuses on maybe a particular aspect of security. No, we have different aspects. Like for me, I'm currently in strategic studies, taking war studies, strategic studies, arms control, health and security, and other part. I have colleagues who are in the technology and technology as concentration. They're taking artificial intelligence course. They're taking artificial intelligence and human nexus course. They're taking different courses. Then there are those in conflict and peace building and all that. It's a different aspect of it too. And then we just have different concentrations then that is available. So imagine me now, at the moment, I'm doing health and security. So now I'm learning things about COVID, Ebola, and all lot of that. Yeah, so You're actually welcome to apply. Like, it's so long as you can show a link.
Oh wow, that is so good to know because, like, for example, if somebody is in the health sector, like I am in the nutrition field, clinical nutritionist, and I have worked in the food security and all these disaster management kind of things. So if I am able to show that there's some sort of security issues that I have been dealing with, then I can be able to put that on the personal statement and also maybe of course mention it on my CV and then be at a chance of getting the scholarship, right?
Yeah, of course.
So what is really 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 at stake here is what you put on that statement of purpose. So if you do not sell out yourself or whatever experience that you've been having, and the keywords here you're mentioning is security, it's really 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 key towards this masters. I do believe that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so now, can you tell us, so what can someone expect? Because I know you've already gone through your different semesters. What can someone expect to learn? Because, fine, it's a great master's. I'm sold out. So what can I expect to learn?
I think there are different pathways, and so you would need to choose the aspect of the course you would want to delve into. For the first year, we do almost the same. The first semester, we do almost the same course, but for the second semester, you have people moving to either Dublin or Trento. And for Trento, they were focused on causes of conflict, while for those of us who went to Dublin, we're focused on peace building, intelligence, and strategic studies. So this was the place where we had a lot of focus on those people who were really interested in intelligence gathering, and a whole lot of that. You focus on that. If you're interested in, you know, causes of conflict and a whole lot of those other parts of it that comes with it, you go to Trento and others. So it depends on what you want. There is a range of options available, and even for our final semester there is also a range of courses, we call it concentration, available to us. So you get to choose which of the concentration. So now it does not just limit us to taking maybe a parallel set of courses and all that. We have people that want to go into war studies, like myself, who is in strategic studies and all that, and I'm currently studying currency warfares and all that, and how it affects civil wars and all that. So there are others who are into AIs. They want to look at how AIs would basically affect the future of wars and all that. They go into the technology aspect. There are those who are interested in space security. They're also in the technology aspect of it. There's just a whole lot of concentration for you to pick from. So that's why I said the course is multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary. So you see people from different aspects of it, people from maybe computer science background. Like me, I'm doing cyber security and all that. And it becomes really interesting. You should be expecting to have a range of options to pick from in order for you to learn and suit your interest and build your career pathway that you're seeking for yourself. For me, I've chosen my own, and my own is to look at the currency aspect of it, strategic studies, and I'm looking at currency warfares, which also includes, aside fiat currency, it also includes cryptocurrencies and other payment methods and all that. So it just really, I never thought I would be working on something that has to do with currencies and all that. I never thought of that. But yeah, here I am. Interest grows, and just if you have an opportunity to join, expect to learn from different have a wide range of options to choose from, and then learn to build your careers and all that. I think basically that's it.
Yeah, so this is very interesting that you mentioned because initially you had an interest in peace, right? And now look at you, you are now in crypto. And I personally, maybe I should learn more from you because crypto world, I am always like, I don't know whether I'm being scammed. I don't know what is going on. So this is something that is quite interesting. Maybe I should get a meeting with you behind,
Yeah, because yeah. So like I said earlier, academically, I'm more interested in the area of policy and the policy aspect of security. And so at the moment, as I'm focusing my interest on currencies, which of course now includes cryptocurrencies, I'm particularly interested in the policy and security aspects of crypto, because let me not go too deep into it, but then personally, like, if you look at it, while crypto is a decentralized system and it's open to a whole lot of revolution, and that comes with it, it's also a fragile system which could be deployed by rebels to carry out activities. So I'm really interested in that aspect of bridging that gap there, because it's going to be a whole lot if that aspect of it is not contained. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Honestly speaking, I do 100% agree with you, especially now that crypto is becoming something that is quite vast, even in our African countries. Like, this is something that we need to address as soon as possible before it goes overboard. So I definitely would love to hear more about that, as much as it is quite technical. So I'm happy you mentioned that. So now I know. And guys, if you're just listening to us right now, welcome to this live stream. And I do see a few comments and also some questions already on the comment section. So thank you so much for staying on. And, please tell a friend that we are here. We're still here. We're still going to be here for the next few, minutes, not few minutes. We will answer all the questions today. It's a Friday. We can do it all because we are here. Someone said that Erasmus ladies are quite feminist. I don't know whether I agree with that.
Yeah, they actually said, like,
Yeah.
even Erasmus guys keep saying it, and I'm like, okay, maybe Erasmus just gets to be picking feminists. Maybe, or maybe the program just converts them to feminists. I don't know.
Well, one way to find out is to apply for the program and find out whether you become a feminist in the process or what happens. But I can tell you for a fact, it's not about being a feminist. It's really just putting your best foot forward. And sometimes that energy can be taken as if it's a feminist energy. It's neither here nor there, honestly speaking. What I can tell you is for a fact, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, if you apply for Erasmus, things change. Everything changes. Believe me, from your life, the perspectives that you have about life, everything really, really changes because you tend to understand that now the African life that we have back in our countries, whether that's Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, wherever it is, we have a very different aspect and perspectives of life. And when you come here, you see that, hey, come on, there can be another thought process that actually works. And so maybe, living that life, then people might connotate it to be, it's feminist energy. But anyway, one way to find out, guys, if you're listening, is to apply for this and get to know whether, you become a feminist or you become something different. Anyway, so as we go on our next discussion, so I want to know now, which countries would somebody be studying in? Is it that you have a set mobility already, or there are some study tracks within your program? And how does that look like? And what is the life like in these countries? You've already been into some of them already, and the state of life, how it is like, how it's easy to integrate into the systems of these different countries. Because I mean, it's good to be in Europe. That's very good. You're also living here. As much as you're studying, you're also living in these different countries. And there are several certain aspects in terms of the friends you make. Of course, you have your friends in the master's course that you're doing, but also the reintegration into the society that you're living in for the 6 months or for the 4 months or 5 months or however long period of time you're going to be in a different country. It really, really matters because that also counts towards, even your performance in school. However you feel maybe you met someone on the street who said something wrong, maybe something racist or whatever it is. It could be really anything. So that really, really counts. So I want to hear, do you guys have some mobilities? Do you have study tracks? What does it look like? And how is the life like in the countries that you have been?
Okay, so I was first in the UK. The UK, I'm a bit biased towards the UK, maybe because I felt more at home in the UK because, of course, you get to see a lot of people that you can a lot of black people, a lot of Nigerians, especially in Glasgow. And so maybe because I got to meet a lot of people, and we even had University of Glasgow Nigeria group, just like how you have Erasmus Nigeria page where we, relate. This one is the University of Glasgow Nigeria page. So maybe because I kind of found a group, and I felt more comfortable there compared to my other universities that I've been to, that we do not really like have. Maybe I've not found them. I maybe I've not found it. Yeah. So, but then I found people in Glasgow. I made friends in Glasgow. Glasgow seemed a bit easy. I don't know if it is because the UK and Nigeria has a long history, or because I have a good number of people there, but I would say I'm somehow biased towards the UK, and it felt more at home, even though the code was not here. The code was not here, but it felt more at home. And then when I moved to Dublin, I was still trying to adjust and all that. And but then it became better. I lived with some of my colleagues in Dublin. And then I had a secondary school classmate who was studying in Dublin too. So we would sometimes go out, and I got to know some other places and all that. And Dublin was a cool city, apart from the fact that I think it is too expensive. Yeah. So, but then Glasgow, the cost of living, I feel it is moderate. I just feel Dublin is overly expensive. I don't know, but yeah. So, yeah. Apart from that, Dublin was cool. I made great memories there, and then I am here in Prague, and I feel Prague is really a good place to stay because it's cheap. It's cheap. That's why I feel Prague is a good place to stay, because it's cheap compared to coming from Dublin, where I had to pay so much for rent and all that. So I think Prague is really cheap. Cost of living is really cheap to an extent if you're staying in student accommodations and all that. And yeah, everything regularly is cheap. I love KFC. And for me to have, yeah, KFC and pizza. So for me to have KFC here, I pay less than £3 to buy a bucket of for one KFC. But in the other parts I've stayed in, I could, just to get that same pack, I could pay close to £10 and all that. And I recently went to Germany, and I got it for that amount, like I think over £10 or so, over €10 or so for a KFC pack and all that. And here I'm getting, for one, I'm getting it for less than £3. I should be happy. That's what I'm like, yeah, it's happy. So ordinarily, I like these different countries that I've been to. And aside that, I'm biased towards the UK because of fear some things, but I think they are generally a cool place. And I've not really had I've not really had a bad experience or an encounter with anybody, but I think I've not really had an encounter with anybody. And then for my mobilities, my program has four mobilities, but four standard mobilities where students are supposed to go to at least three. So for the first year, everyone goes to Glasgow. For the first semester, everyone goes to Glasgow. Second semester, you either go to Trento, which is in Italy, or you go to Dublin, Ireland, depending on where you want to. And then for the third semester, everyone comes to Prague. Then the fourth semester, it depends. Those people who have placements or those people who do not have placement, that would determine where you would go to for your fourth semester or what you would do during your fourth semester. For me, I was lucky enough to get a placement in Germany, and so I would be joining them by March, and I would work with them March, April, May. So yeah, that's for my placement. But there are some other of my colleagues who didn't manage to get maybe placement or don't even want to have a placement. So they could just choose to go back to any of these countries or go to the country where their supervisors are and all that. So basically that has been it. And yeah, any other mobility you are taking, maybe it's enjoyment mobility, you're going to flex and have fun. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's enjoyment has to be a mobility on its own. So I do really appreciate that because. But I want you to speak about something to do with Glasgow and going into the UK and the process of going into the UK because this is something that also has been quite a huge question. And I know for a fact that like this year we did have an issue with a certain student who was trying to go to the UK, and because of the quarantine issues and this health surcharge and all these kind of fees that were unexpected, and she had to ask her relatives to cover quite a number of fees towards that process. And I know for a fact that Erasmus is, I mean, Britain is not going to be participating in the future for Erasmus for most of the programs. The funding that is already there is going to end, and then after that, they will not be participating anymore. They, in fact, have another program that is very competitive to Erasmus in any case. So I know we still have programs that for students will have to start in the University of Glasgow, or because it's usually the most common one, or any other UK university. So I want you to speak about the fees, any fees that you might expect, because usually you would need to maybe take care of your own quarantine fees. You would need to also maybe pay for the health surcharge. I do believe that maybe this is something that you did. And the process of just settling into the UK. I know you love the UK, but there's also the hassle of settling in the UK. So can you please speak about that?
Made mention so that we'll be able to. Oh, I hope I've been talking to. Okay, yeah. So I was just trying to write down some of the points so that we'll be able to speak to them directly. So the first thing you have to know that if your university is in the UK, you're going to pay plenty money. You're going to pay plenty money, especially for those courses that will require you to come into the UK with a long-term visa. I know there are some of my colleagues from, is this Strathclyde? Yeah, they came, their program required them to just come with a short stay visa, which is the 6 months old regular visitors visa, so they didn't have to pay that much. But if you're coming in with the one that is at least a year, I came in with the one that was for 2 years, you are going to be paying so much. So the UK does not recognize the what's it called, the insurance that Erasmus gives to us. The UK does not recognize it, and it's actually a problem because sometimes a lot of students, applicants do not get to know until they get the scholarship. So the UK does not recognize it, and so you have to pay for it before, during your application, visa application, and all that. So for me, I was lucky enough that my family was able to foot the bills for me because I was a broke graduate. I didn't have money, so I was lucky to have families that that were happy to do it for me. And yeah, and in return, I was only asked to pay back half of it, so I was lucky. So though the thing is, there's already what's it called, a stipend stipulated for your travel allowance, which would eventually cover it. But sometimes some of the Erasmus courses do not give you anything until you arrive and you have opened a European account. But for my program and programs starting from the University of Glasgow, all the programs, they came to an agreement and they were like, okay, it's COVID time and all that. We can give you people up to 1,000 euros to help you people make your applications and all that. And so they were willing to give to us. But as a Nigerian that I am, me and my friend convinced me, Jennifer, don't take the money. Let us go there and take it in full. So we ended up not sending our account. Her name is Blessing, and she's on local, and she's like, let's not send it. When we arrive, we take everything in full. I was like, okay, no problem. So we ended up not sending our accounts. We told them that when we arrive, we'll take it and all that. So we managed, she got her own from her families. My own family was able to foot my bills. And as at then, total that I paid for amounted to, for my visa, about 740,000 or so, at about that amount in naira. And that's a big money. That's a mad money in
How much,
Nigeria.
how much that is that in pounds though?
Um, conversion rates have been fluctuating since then, and it has gone so bad. But if you look at it in naira, like it's a big money. Don't just pick that money. Some people's salary in a year would never get to that. So like it's a mad money. And don't forget, I have to also pay for flights. And the flight I had to pay for was about, 500K or so. Because the thing is, as I got my visa, my dad is like, "You're going the next weekend." And I'm like, "No." He said, "Go, don't worry about the money. We're just going to." So I had to book one of the most expensive flights available. And my flight was about 500K thereabouts. And my friend paid 120,000 naira for her own flight to the UK, and I paid 500 and something for my own. So it actually just depends. But if you're coming to the UK and your program, so also if you're coming on a 1 year visa, the money you would have to pay would also be lesser compared to those coming up for a 2 years. So you are basically paying the health surcharge, which is the UK's it's a contribution to health, is it the health system or something like the NHS. So every person who comes into the UK on a long stay visa, you have to contribute to the healthcare and all that. So that means if you have some challenges and all that, you can go to the hospital and a whole lot of that. So I had to pay for that, and that health surcharge I had to pay it for the 2 years for my visa, because my visa was for 2 years, and so I had to pay for 2 years. So for those who came on 1 year visa, they paid less. For those who came on 6 months, they didn't pay for the health surcharge, so they just paid for their visa and all that. So it's quite I would not say the UK process was that stressful. It wasn't that stressful, but the money was the stress in it, because I know a whole lot of people would not be able to ordinarily afford it. I know a couple of people who had to borrow from friends and all that. Yeah, that's, I think for the UK, the stress in it is just the money. That's majorly the stress, because I've gone through other visa application processes and it can be really rigorous. So for me, I think the UK is the stress is just the money. And then for quarantine, talking about quarantine, so some of the schools and maybe some governments within the UK, they reimburse. I know for my school, they stated that, but that was not for my set. It was people that were coming in. They stated that if they needed a place to quarantine, that those people who were given compulsory hotel accommodation by the government, the school will reimburse you your money. So people who are applying, if this quarantine applies to you where they are forcing you to stay in a particular hotel, should I say forcing you, but where they would make you because of the law or maybe the country you're coming from to stay in a hotel, and it can be really expensive and you have to pay how many £1,000 for it. So try to check with your school if they have the option of reimbursement, because my school actually started at University of Glasgow, and maybe other schools or maybe internal governments would also do that. So they had that option. So some students, it was okay, let's come, the school will reimburse us. For me, I came from Nigeria, and Nigeria was on which of the list? Was it on the amber list or something? I don't know, but I was allowed to just go to my accommodation and quarantine there. And and after the 14 days, I am good to go and all that. And then settling in, I think those people coming into the UK, what I would advise, like if you're coming into the UK, it's always good to there's a whole lot of African groups, student groups, and all that. You try to get a hold of some of them, because they're the ones that would really tell you what's up. They're the ones that would tell you how cold it is. Because some of your other colleagues who maybe they are in all their lives they've been in Europe, or maybe they are Europeans, the cold might feel normal to them or like at a normal level. Yeah. But if you find a Nigerian and ask, how cold is it? I'm coming next week. How cold? They will tell you it's cold though. Yeah. So they will really tell you so that you would understand it's cold though. Because for me, I came into the UK and I was freezing and I saw people wearing bomb shorts. I'm like, okay, now I am angry. Am I the person? Is it that my system is misbehaving or what? Because I felt it was damn too cold. And so I was getting pissed, I was getting angry, because for me, I can't wear bomb short because I'm going to just get blocked because of the coldness. Yeah. But then I'm seeing people and I'm like, okay, this is serious. This is serious. So somebody can actually just wear this way and it's not feeling the cold. But honestly, when I got to talk to people, they were able to tell me where to buy good jackets that would help me with the cold and all that, because this was what I came with. And immediately just this, and when I came out from the airport, I was freezing. Like, I was so cold, I was freezing. So talking to some of the Nigerians, they told me, no, don't buy this. This thing would not do anything for you. Because me, I bought it in Nigeria and I'm like, okay, it's going to do a lot. It didn't do anything. So they told me, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to buy. Buy this type. This is how to know a good jacket. This. Yeah, because them too, they came and they felt the same way, coming from our region of the world, which is everyday summer. So they would be actually able to tell you, how to adapt. And they were also able to tell me where to find African shops to buy certain things and all that. So they told me about that. They told me a whole lot about, buses and reading the maps and a whole lot of that. How to learn how to read the maps, learn how to read buses. When is this bus leaving? Which of the buses? The station to stand at, because you would have the bus stop here, the bus stop, you will be wondering, okay, am I supposed to stand this other way or this other way? And so you might not know whether your bus is going this or going. So they kind of try to put me through. So that's why I said it's important to always find communities that are that you come from. How do I put it? Communities that are built by people who are from the same region where you come from. Yeah, so it's important because they would give you the main gist, tell you things to do and other things, and they would also be the first people to tell you that don't do this, so it's a crime. Or yeah, because there are certain things that we would do because of the region we're from. We don't really consider it as anything, and so they will be the ones to tell you, don't do this, don't do this. If you do this, they're going to fine you. If you do this, yeah. So it actually helped me to settle. And then other thing too was to try to get to know some of my colleagues and all that, because learning, it was quite challenging for me to adapt at the start. It was really challenging because sometimes maybe I'm having conversations and all that, and maybe I've asked the question and nobody's saying anything. I didn't really understand the culture, and I'm like, okay, I just asked the question. If you don't know the answer, just say you don't know. So I was really getting confused, and I was always, trying to tell my Nigerian colleagues, I'm like, ask the question today. We're in a group, and I asked a question, and nobody said anything. Am I supposed to uh be angry or what? Like, I was really confused, and they said maybe they didn't really know what to say. And sometimes, people might just decide to just keep quiet and a whole lot of that. So they actually just helped me to adapt to the system and a whole lot of that. They would also help you know where to find affordable things or good things, or students discounts and a whole lot of that. So I've been talking for so long.
No, it's really, really fine. It's so interesting to hear your experience, from first-hand experience, traveling during the COVID time, because this is also another question that people kept asking. Is it possible for you to come to Europe during COVID and begin your master's studies? Because again, of course, because of the restrictions, and I mean, we're still in the pandemic anyway. So that is a very, very good a thing that you actually said, being able to interact with the community that's already on the ground, that's already in the UK. And this is also something that I always keep on telling people. If you're coming to do your Erasmus, please do not shop clothes in your country. Please come and shop them here, because this is where you will get the right clothes, because they are designed for the weather conditions that are within the country that you're going to. Because you might think you know more, and then you come and have a whole huge disaster, buying more things. And in the end, you will look at your luggage and you will wonder, whose luggage is this? Because you've been buying things and buying things. You came with more things anyway. So capitalize on coming with things like food items that you might miss from your own country if you cannot find them here, things like hair products for ladies and all that kind of thing. So these are the things that you need to maybe capitalize on, but that's besides the point. So it's very good that you mentioned that the master's program actually covered for the travel cost, which means that there's usually an allowance that is allocated to every student for travel expenses. And so, you can eat into that, because usually they calculate the miles from where you're coming from, whichever the country that you're coming from, and then they are able to allocate the money according to the mileage, and also the fact that they will give you travel expenses. I think they will cover travel expenses every single other. I think when you're moving from one country to the other, I don't know about your course, but perhaps that is how it's structured. But like, the thing is with Erasmus, and of course even with your program, is that they will definitely hear you out in terms of what would be your struggles, whether you need a sort of reimbursement. This is something that they always evaluate. And I remember even during my course, we got reimbursement for our visas, for pretty much all the costs that we went through before we even came here. If it goes beyond, sometimes they might say this is the cap that we are going to give up to this amount. Of course, due to the fact that there's usually a certain amount of fund that has been allocated within that year, and the number of students that ought to be within the program for those years. So I just want to also mention here that your program, I don't know how long it's going to run, whether it's, of course, maybe it's going to have a renewal of the funding, and maybe the structure might change, but I don't know, how long is it set to run? Do you know yet? Or?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure when this current funding is. No, I think they recently got a renewed funding. Yeah, because the former coordinator for Dublin, there was a time I watched his interview on him getting the funding for IMSISS and all that. So I think they just got a renewed funding and all that. Yeah, so I think maybe till the next, they're into the next, they're among the people that just got a renewal.
Oh, perfect. So I was just actually checking on the EMJD catalog to just see how long they have said, and they mentioned that it started in 2019, the 1st of September 2019, and ends 31st of August 2025. So, I mean, this is the current funding, which means that, of course, if you're looking to apply for this scholarship, then within this period of time, it might not change that you have to go to Glasgow, you have to go to Dublin, Czech Republic, and maybe Germany if you get a placement and such kind of thing. So, like, usually, if the fund is renewed, sometimes they might change the structure, of course, depending on issues like Brexit and that kind of thing. So if you're listening to this, and of course, you're applying for this much later, if you're planning maybe next year or the next 2 years, or whichever it is that you're planning to, it's good to know these kind of things. And that is why I usually say go to the catalog, just see exactly how the funding is looking like in terms of how many maybe tries that you can have, because even if you try this first year, and for you to come to study in 2022, if you don't get in this 2022, then you can definitely try again and again and again until, of course, you are able to get in. And it's always very good to know how long, what type of period the funding is, so that you can set yourself up for success even in the future, as much as maybe you might be trying to apply it 1 year later, 2 years later, however it looks like for you. So that is a very good point that you mentioned. And before I can go to the questions, I do see quite a number of questions as well. Thank you so much, guys, for staying on. I want Jennifer, you need to tell us about statements of purpose, because this is a huge thing. And I know for a fact that, you mentioned that you had someone who used to read and criticize, your statements of purpose and tell you the good pointers here and there. And it's very, very good, like you mentioned that, because I always keep on saying this in the Kenyan community: let someone read your personal statement. Even if you do not find someone who might mentor you, go to the social media pages of your programs and make friends with someone who's been an alumni of that program. Just message them, introduce yourself nicely, not just say hi and then that's it. Introduce yourself nicely. Tell them, hey, I am interested in applying for this program. I do see that you have been alumni of this program. Would you be willing kindly to maybe read my personal statement, because I'm interested in this program? Introduce yourself. Don't just write one small message and that's shoddy. make sure that it doesn't even have typos, because some of these people might, just dismiss it as spam. So introduce yourself nicely, and that's one of the ways to even make friends and get some sort of assistance. So don't fear to even email your consortium in case you have an issue to do with maybe your language certificate. Maybe you want a waiver for English language test. This is something that you can ask ahead of time, and you will get an answer. So it's not a vacuum that exists within Erasmus. So that is one of the most important things that you need to know. Put yourself out there. Don't fear to ask. So I want to ask Jennifer. I know she has a whole load of good stuff about statements of purpose, and I want you to chime in and tell us. So what should we look out for when someone is writing their statement of purpose? One, of course, generally for your program specifically, and even generally for an Erasmus statement of purpose. What is some of the things that they have to be there, and they have to look out for?
Okay. This is this is it's great to always talk about statement of purpose, because I most of the time just keep talking about it and all that, but it's it's for some programs, they place a huge emphasis on your statement of purpose. It's a big deal. They allocate some points and all that, maybe 30 marks. I think mine was 30 marks for my statement of purpose. The marks allocated for statement of purpose, my program, I think it was 30 marks. So if I think the first thing is you should have an outline of how you want your statement of purpose to flow. You should have an outline of how you want it to flow. So in your first paragraph, you can't talk about just in your first paragraph, you've talked about the undergraduates that you went to, you have talked about your job experience, you have talked about this, just mashing them together. No, you need to have a kind of a flow to it. What do you want your first paragraph to talk about? What do you want your second paragraph to talk about? The third paragraph, what do you want it to talk about? So depending on your word count, you have to make a list of the different things that you want contained in your SOP and their different paragraphs. Now, depending on the word count, you should now allocate points to these different paragraphs in order to see that they fit into the word count and all that. So for me, I think my first paragraph was basically about motivation, basically about motivation for applying. And then I think my second paragraph was about my educational background and how it fits in. I think my third paragraph was about my experience and how it suits to it, my professional experience. And the final one was I think the final one was basically making a just giving a punchline on why out of all the people in this world that applied to, why they should choose Jennifer. I think that was what it was all about. So basically, my program is the largest Erasmus course, and we're at the moment we're 84 or so, and the set after us, I think they're close to maybe 100 and something. I don't know. So each year it keeps increasing, and we are the largest Erasmus program. And out of that, the largest Erasmus, there are about just 23 that are funded. So imagine the rest are self-funding. So imagine the number of people that might have applied to even get the scholarship but didn't get in and all that. So I had to, it's important to, strategize. So for me, I knew that the program gave different, what's it called, different allocation of points of what would qualify me. And I was ticking the box in all of them. And then I knew that my statement of purpose was standing out, and it was a huge chunk of 30 marks. And I think that was the highest. And I told myself, this is where I need to score the goal, because I possibly was not the only first class. Most of my colleagues, are first class. I'm possibly not the only one. I'm possibly not the only one with maybe a relevant experience. I'm possibly not the only one from Africa. I know some of the people said that applied from Nigeria even messaged me and said, so you're the person that got in and all that. So I was possibly not the only one from Nigeria. So they had a lot of people that applied from Nigeria. So I had to strategize. Now, it's always important that when someone is reading your SOP, you don't confuse the person. Your statements, what my uncle then told me is, don't give, I know in Nigeria, in Africa, we like talking long something without stopping. So he did this, and she also did this, and again she did this also in the same sentence. So like we, some of the times we tend to write how we speak because that's how we speak. So we tend to kind of write the way we speak. And if I'm the one reading it, I would understand what you're writing because I also speak that way. But now I'm not a person from Nigeria or from Africa that is reading it. So I had to think the way they do. And Mango told me one thing is they like short statements. Just go to the point, make that sentence you're making, make it short. They know that it has ended there. This is the sentence. Then you start another one. Whatever you have to write, don't make it too long because if I write the way I speak, I will make it so long, maybe 4 lines. I'm still saying the same thing. And so I knew that the first point is your sentences should always be short and straight to the point, your sentences. So after you've allocated the different marks, you know what you're going to put: first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph. Always make sure that your sentences are straight to the point. Don't make it too long, straight to the point, so that when the person reads it, you don't confuse the person. The person reads it, understands it, that's fine. And then the next thing you have to consider is how to put these things. And you have a lot of things you want to put in your paragraph one, your motivation, but what is the most relevant? How can you shorten it to fit into the word count? What is the most relevant? You can't put everything. Like for me, who studied international relations and strategic studies, in the paragraph that was to talk about my academic experiences, I was supposed to talk about my program, the courses that I did, and all that and all that. But then I did a whole lot. I'm coming from international relations, so I did a whole lot of courses that are related to security, peace building, African studies, this, a whole lot of it. But I had to pick the most relevant because I can't put all of them. I picked the most relevant. So I looked at the courses that IMSISS was to do first year, second year. I looked at all the courses, and so I went back to my transcript and I picked the most relevant. And I think I picked like Z4 or so, 3 or 4. And some courses can have a really long name. Please shorten it. So I had to pick those most relevant ones because all the courses that I did were relevant, but I had to pick the most relevant ones. And those were the ones that I had to point out at. And I said, okay, as an undergraduate, these were some of the courses that I did, and they are relevant in taking these other courses because they're more like a background. So I showed a link to how some of the courses that I did in undergraduate was a background to what I would do if I eventually get in. So I showed that link. I also talked about, what I'm bringing to the table. I had to make it seem like, because me, I have skills, I can do plenty things then. So I'm not just coming to collect. I'm also coming to come and do other things there for you. Because as I then, during my undergraduate, I served as president of our student association. And aside that, I've organized dinners, events, and all that. So, and I looked at the IMSISS, this thing. They usually have, dinners and some other events, them, physical events, them that they usually have. And so I had to make a point, and I'm like, during my undergraduate, blah, 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 as the vice president, so I did this, I organized, and I think my organizational skills and this would be relevant when you people are organizing dinners and do grab. So it's not like I'm coming to take. I have to also show them that I'm bringing something to this table. I'm bringing something to it. So I'm also coming to come and contribute and all that. So I had to show them these different things. And so basically, there are specific questions. This one now, I just told you my own personal, what I did now, but there's a standard, what I would like to call a standard questions you should answer when writing your personal statement. And the first one is, what is your main motivation for applying? Your main motivation for applying. You need to state it. You can't just say, it's something you need to find from yourself that would be unique. You can't be writing random statement like it will be a stepping stone to my future. That's a statement that will be used by everybody around the world. Do you grab? Or you come and say, Nigeria has the highest rate of insecurity or whatever. Like, it does not really, like, they want to, there's something, your motivation is usually something unique to you. The propelling force is something you, so someone cannot really tell you, a different person cannot really tell you what your motivation is. It's something you need to figure out by yourself. So the standard, like what I said, there are standard questions them. And the first one is, what is your motivation for applying? The second one is, how will your educational background or work experience inform your engagement with this program? So do you see where I talked about my experience, not just as a student, but also my experience in a leadership position? So now they're asking you your engagement with the program. Your engagement with the program is not just academics. So now, from me having a first class and me studying some of those relevant courses, then it has already told them, I already mentioned it in my statement of purpose. So it has already told them that I would engage well in academics. Now, there is a different part to Erasmus, because if you look at it, Erasmus, the first, what I would like to always say is that the first part of Erasmus is the mobility, is the social connections and all that, even before the academics. That's what I like to say myself. So for me, mentioning that, having a first class, studying these different courses, have attended to how I will engage with the program academically. But now I also wanted to, because a lot of people will talk about that, but I wanted to also talk about the other part of it, which is the social mobility, engagements, and all that. And that was where I brought in my skills as a student, what I did, like, my organizational skills. I talked about what I did even when I became president of our student association. I talked about what I did. And so looking at those my organizational skills, what I did as a vice president, organizing a massive event for, how, Nigerian schools and all that, we are a lot. And then organizing and some other impacts I made as the president. When I eventually became president, I had to show how those skills would be relevant in IMSISS IMSISS events, because they were, apart from this COVID and all that, they were actually set out to organize, massive events, because they're always having events. They will go to the military this for these places. They will have dinner. They will have this and all that. So actually showed how I've already had experience in organization, so it would be really relevant. And so I brought it. So that would basically, so for me now, answering how will your educational background or work experience inform your engagement with the program? So I answered both the educational background and I answered the work experience also. And so my work experience is not just professional work. Oh. Me as president and vice president is work experience. It is work experience because I did work. So it was my work experience also. And so I had to also bring that to show. And also me too, building an organization. It was a startup. It also showed how, leadership skills, coordination, and all that. Then the third question you would always need to answer is, how will this program support your future career development? Please don't go and say it's a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone. Wait, it's a stepping, because I've read some statements and I'm like, okay, so people are still using this word. It's a stepping stone to change the course of my life and things. That no, you need to be smarter than that, because you're not the only person that will write is a stepping stone. So when they see another stepping stone next, another stepping stone next, because no reviewer want to be reading is a stepping stone and all that. So basically you have to show it, and that is by me. I talked about my future career plans. I was looking at the mediation, like I told you already, in professional aspect of it, I'm into peace building and all of that. Okay, so I think my battery is low. Anyways, I will still be talking while I'm going to charge it, but I think I'll just move to a different part of my room, but no problem. So sorry. Okay,
Next time, no worries. No worries at all.
okay, so I just charged it now. So for the future career plans, I had to, talk about my career. It has to be a link. A link needs to be drawn. Previously, they've seen what I was doing. I was building a startup organization on peace and young people, equipping young people. And so I had to talk about how I'm really interested in the area of mediation as a young African woman. And when you look at the area of mediation and all that, you see there is really a gap in that area in terms of women involvement and all that. And I was already doing something in that area. And so there's a link, what I was doing before and what I intend to continue to do, which is still what I continue to intend to do. So what in terms of academics, I have a focus on, security. In terms of professional aspect of it, work, I have a focus on, mediation and diplomacy and all that. So I I had to show that they saw the link. So it's not like maybe, how do I even put it? Maybe let's just say maybe I wasn't even doing anything. Let's say I was working in a bank and previously I've been doing security in terms of banking and all that. And then all of a sudden, I want to totally now move to mediation. That's my future plan. And my background has always been this and all that. If I don't give a good reason why I'm having that sharp move, it becomes a problem. There's a disconnection. It's just like somebody now coming from, let's say the person want to study African studies and your background is engineering. Before you could get in, it will be difficult to get, but then if you're even getting in, you need to explain why. Why are you making that sharp move? So that is the thing. So for me, there was already a line. So now, if maybe I was coming from the area of banking securities and all that, securities in terms of bank, and now I want to move to diplomacy, I can't just write that my future plan is to become a diplomat. It really does not, there's no correlation. Yeah. So if I am moving, if I'm having that sharp move, then I have to give a good reason. There needs to be a good reason. So that's where you now need to back it up. So what is basically how would this program support your future career development and all that? So I had to show that how previously I've been working in the area of peace, how I'll be taking certain courses. Then I talked about taking politics of the UN course, and interestingly, I took that course and I made an A1 highest. Like I was really interested in that course, and yes, and well, that was a different conversation altogether. But we're talking about permanent seats for Africa in the UN Security Council and all that. So, anyways, that's a different conversation. But yeah, you need to talk about how your how do I put it? What you were doing before. Then you talk about the course, how it flows into the course, and how it flows into your future plans. So for me, that was already there, and I just drew the line across and showed it. So, and then this means that if you're responding to these three questions that I just talked about, this means that you need to give strong reasons why you want to study this program at the various institutions. These for you to answer these questions them at the various institutions. Them. Do you know, interestingly, like I had to look for certain things myself in these different universities to have a pointer at. So for the University of Glasgow, since I was focused on, young people and peace and security, I found that the University of Glasgow had a platform they called World Changers. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. And it gives emphasis to young students, I think mostly young students, to mentor them and give them a platform for them to grow their network and everything. And so I capitalized on that. I said, as I'm building this my organization and all that, this organization, the young the what's it called, World Changers platform would be really good because they would give you mentorship and show you some other give you some other guidance on how to go about your how do I put it, of your change making platform. They will tell you how to go about, not like tell you, but guide you, mentor you, and a whole lot of that. And so I pointed that out for University of Glasgow. I pointed another one out for Dublin City University. And for the university I'm currently in, I pointed out a research institution, and the research institution is run by young people. Like all the people is run by young people. And interestingly, that's where I'm doing my internship now. So I pointed out the place and I said that this institution, it does this, it does this. I'm working in the area of peace. This institution, I think it would be helpful, it would be beneficial to me in developing my research skills as it relates to this. I was really specific with what I wanted. I didn't just say random things. I was really specific with what I wanted. And yeah, that was how I talked about those ones. And those were the things dragging me to those different universities. And interestingly, I'm currently working with them now as an intern, that same organization. So another aspect, if you want to answer this, the three questions I already mentioned, you need to also um mention your experience, study experience, like I've already said. Maybe you did a project that was relevant, or maybe you did courses that were relevant and all that. For me, I did courses that were relevant, and also the thesis I did, the project I did as an undergraduate was in the area of conflict. It was in the area of conflict, but ethnic conflict. But then conflict is still under the area of security and order. So my undergraduate thesis was on the Nigerian Biafra conflict, which is a secession a secession attempt that led to the Nigerian civil war and order. So I did that, and it's really interesting, and yeah, it relates to it. And I'm also doing something at the moment which relates to is also in terms of civil wars and all that. So I showed that. And another thing too you need to show is you need to prove that you need to prove evidence of your skills, including research, critical thinking, organization, and all that, evidence of it. So like I stated earlier, I had to tell them, okay, CEO, during my undergraduate, I was president, I was vice president, and as a vice president I needed to organize an entire event then. So that's an organizational skills, management skill, because you have to manage people and all that. So I showed that and a whole lot of some other things then you also need to what else? Um you if you've won maybe scholarships before, if you've written papers before, you can just, make mention of it and all that. um Also highlight your career aspirations, like I already stated. And then finally you have to show what makes you stand out as a candidate. I think I mentioned that earlier, where I had to say that my last paragraph was about why they should choose me out of all the people that qualified in this world. Why exactly should they choose me? So there are a lot of people that are qualified just like you, but out of these people in this entire world that are qualified just like you, or sometimes they might even be more qualified than you, why should they choose you instead of even those people that are more qualified, maybe academically or maybe in terms of experience? Why should they choose you instead of these other people? So this is where you need to bring yourself to play. You need to bring yourself to play. This is where you show your person, the mission you are. Okay, I don't want to sound spiritual. I think if I say mission, it sounds kind of spiritual, but what you're working towards as an individual, this is where you need to make that statement. It's that convincing statement. When you're closing, when they said your introduction and your conclusion most times determines the mark you will get. So this is where you need to make that punchline and say, see, in Nigeria, they speak pidgin. See, out of everybody, na me where you suppose choose. So out of everybody, choose me. This is where you make that statement as an individual. So this is where you need to give them that punchline, why you stand out as a person, why they should invest that money in you. So you've said all that things. So you've said it, that you have this, you have this. So, but then all of you have it. So why should they invest in you instead of these other people? It's a competition. You're competing with a whole lot of people for this money, for this sponsorship and all that. So why? That's where you need to show your person, bring your person, and convince the person. It is there you need to make your final convince. Just yeah. So basically, I think that's it. And I'm talking so much. I'm talking so much.
Wow, that is quite the place, that we need to actually leave it at, because usually the a statement of purpose, there's a lot that can be said about it. And like you mentioned, as Africans, there's a way we speak, and that translates to how we actually write. And we forget that, hey, this piece of paper that you're writing is an introduction of yourself to someone who's never met you, asking them to fund you so much money, to pour into your life and give you all this money, give you a stipend, give you tuition fees, give you medical insurance, etc., out of so many other applicants. And especially if your program does not do interviews, then you need to write that personal statement in a very, very clear way, following the instructions and ensuring that you're not using phrases that have been overused, like you mentioned before, stepping stones.
Yeah.
If someone wants to step on a stone, because that's the way we are taught.
Yeah.
But like, that is a very, very comprehensive way of looking at things. And I mean, anyone who is listening right now, you need to be taking the notes, because we are giving this information right on time. We are in, it's November, end of November, so you have December to sit down. If you have not yet to started writing your personal statement, you have the whole month of December to write, rewrite, have someone read it, change things here and there, and ensure that you're writing the right thing using tools such as Grammarly, using tools, sometimes you can even use some Word document tools that can help you, of course, get to know your word count, etc. These kind of things. Every single tool is out there. You have this information that you're listening to right now. So there's no reason as to why you cannot write a powerful personal statement and submit it. And, of course, ensure that you have a better stake. And one thing that I also want to mention is that what you're writing on your statement of purpose needs to be consistent with what you've also put on your CV. Because you cannot be saying one thing on the CV and then come on to the statement of purpose and you're telling another whole story. And then, maybe your recommendation letter, whoever recommends you tells another whole story. And then there's no connection at all. No reviewer is going to look at that, because they definitely have some background checks for sure, in case you're lying on the statement of purpose, in case you're not telling the truth. Someone might just decide, hey, let me look at this person, maybe on LinkedIn or somewhere on Google, and then they'll find, oh, this person was telling a lie. Then what? That's it for you. And then you'll keep complaining, oh, I cannot get in because, I don't know what happened. But like I said, we did another session, of course, with other people, even from Kenya as well as Nigeria. I also did a session about personal statements and what to look out for on a general perspective. But this is something that you need to take note of very clearly. So I want us to go into the next session, where we answer the questions and read all the comments that people have left here. So thank you so much, guys, for staying on. And Stephen, I do see you listening from Gong. We have Timothy watching from Kajiado. Welcome, welcome. Wanjiro Mohio from Kenya. And Wanjiro Mohio has a question, a general question. In case one isn't able to get a recommendation letter from where the bachelor's degree was taken, can one just get some from their employment if employed? Yes, this is something that you can definitely do, as long as that recommendation letter is sent via the right means, which means that, for example, if it's your employer who is sending that recommendation letter, please ensure that they're using their work email. So that is one of the things that could actually set you apart. If, for example, a program says that, hey, it's fine, you can use this structure. Some of the programs have some structures of the recommendation letter, like there's a form and all that kind of thing that your recommender needs to fill. Ensure that whoever is recommending you will stamp and sign officially, really, so that that recommendation letter can count. Otherwise, if you don't follow the instructions and maybe you're thinking, I'm going to write my own recommendation, I'm gonna sit somewhere, cook it up, and then send it over because I can recommend myself, because it's so difficult to find someone who is a referee who can recommend me, don't go that direction. You'd rather have to wait even for the next year, at least if maybe you're doing like an internship or you're doing a volunteer thing or something that you're doing that you can get a referee. Please ensure the person who is referring you is someone who at least knows you. It's somebody who you've interacted for quite a short time or long time and knows your work and knows your capabilities and can be able to draft a good letter for you, really. So ensure that this is a person that you've had some sort of interaction with, you've talked to this person, maybe if it's your employer, maybe you do have some good relationship with this person who is referring you. If it's your lecturer, it's somebody who maybe was, say, even your supervisor, previous supervisor, whether you've already done an undergraduate or even a master's, and somebody who even supervised your project, or a lecturer whom you used to have a very good interaction with, whether it was during your undergraduate. There's a course, there's always that course that you love. There's always that course that in your undergraduate that you feel that I love this lecturer, I can speak to this person, it's somebody I can relate to. This is the person that you need to approach, not just someone out of the blues. And you ask them, maybe you're going to the dinner and you're like, oh my God, please recommend me. I want to go to do this scholarship. They don't even know you. Some of them will dismiss you and tell you, hey, go write that recommendation and bring it to me and I'll sign and stamp it. Like, it's neither here nor there. So ensure that you're going through the right channels. You're telling these people who are referring you that, hey, my deadline for application is this and this, so that they can submit that recommendation letter on time if they're the ones who are submitting it for you. And these are things that you can actually do. So yes, you can get it from your employment if employed. You can get it from your university if at all that is the place that you want to do it. You can get it from a place you did an internship. You can get it from a place you did a volunteer experience, or whatever it is that you actually did. So ensure that you are following the rules. Most important, follow the rules for the recommendation letters as stipulated by each of the programs, because each of the programs have different stipulations. Okay, so now Timothy Mambo. So one course I'm applying for requires other language certificates if applicable. They include Spanish, French, and Portuguese. This is not right, Timothy, because I don't think Erasmus does that. So I know one of the programs, I think it's public health in disasters or something of the sort. And if you look closely, they actually just ask for the English as well. So I don't know whether that's the program that you're referring to. I would love to see which program is that you're referring to, because Erasmus does not ask for any other language certificate unless it's an English certificate. So if you're still listening to this, please type in the comment section, tell me which is this program, because I want to check on the on the catalog myself right away, and tell you more about that. And you say that since you're self-learning German, do I have to have a certificate to prove my A1 skills? I want to know about this program more, whether it's even an Erasmus program or what it is that you're applying for, Timothy. So please put in on the comment section if you're listening to this still, so we can be able to check it out. Now, another question, and I want Jennifer to answer this. Scholarship competition. To be eligible to be considered for scholarship, students must first have secured a place on the degree program and conditional or conditional. I don't think that is the thing, but Jennifer, I want you to take this one. So Wanjiro, and you can see already the question right there if I spoke too fast. So Wanjiro Mohio asked that question, yeah.
The question is, for them to get a scholarship, they need to have secured a place, right? Is that a question? Okay, so I guess that's the...
Yes, that's the question. Sorry, yeah.
Okay, so the thing is, if you qualified for the program, you definitely get the admission. But getting the admission does not equal getting the scholarship. So the thing is, before you can be offered the scholarship, which comes later after you must have gotten the admission, it comes like you should get your admission after like 3 weeks after application, regular for UK standard. Within 3 to 1 month, 3 weeks to 1 month, you must have gotten your admission after you applied. So the thing, before you obviously, if you qualify, you would get the admission. And so it is expected that by the time in April, May, I think April thereabouts, when you are being awarded the scholarship, you must have gotten this, you must have gotten your admission. And the admission is usually not a problem. So long as you're qualified, you would get it. You would get in. So the only thing that they're just saying is you must be eligible to you must have a place, an offer, and the offer is just the admission. So the admission it's not that much of a big deal. The big deal is the scholarship. So if you're qualified, you're standard qualified, you would obviously get your admission, and then while you wait for the scholarship. So what they're just saying is they can't give you a scholarship without admission. So it's not even possible, Seth, because you just have to be admitted. So you just have to have, I think, maybe a conditional offer or an unconditional offer.
Yeah, so I'm just reading her comments here, and I think this is of course from the website from the IMSISS program, and she wrote quite a bit there saying that the website says the University of Glasgow Postgraduate Admissions Office assesses all applications and we will reply directly to the applicant to let them know if they have been offered a place. Applicants who receive an offer of a place on the degree program and who have submitted the scholarship application on time will be put forward to the scholarship competition. So I think what she was trying to ask is, whether this information means that one has to apply for the program first, then the scholarship, or is it just one application for both the course and scholarship? I want to say it's for both, but I want you to answer that.
Okay, that's the question. Erasmus generally just has one application, because whatever you apply for, it just has one application. That's like what they actually wrote there. So long as you are qualified, they move your application to the scholarship team. So they would now be the ones to determine whether you get the scholarship or not. But everybody that applies, like for my program, there is the application form. There's a place you would have to tick if you want the scholarship or not. So if you tick, is it you want the scholarship or if you are able to fund yourself? So if you're able to fund yourself, obviously means, okay, you can do without the scholarship. So there's a place for you to tick. So immediately if you tick, you cannot be able to fund yourself. So automatically, if you're qualified for admission, your application is moved to the next stage, which is for those who are reviewing it for scholarship. So that's just it. Just moves. It's just one application. It's not the other. I know a good number of other scholarships have you applying for the program and then applying for the scholarship, and no, Erasmus is just one.
Yeah, Wanjiro, I hope we answered your question. So yes, it's just one application that you do. So everything is online. Let not anyone ask for any type of money, any type of fees to pay, unless, of course, you're applying for just I think 2 or 3 programs that are asking for an application fee. And this is something that is actually being discussed by the European Union. So we hope that this is going to change in the future. But every single thing is on the application link that you find on every one of those programs. So just follow through and you're just going to do one application. So once you submit your application, you do not necessarily need to apply to the university separately, really. That's exactly what Jennifer said. So I hope we did answer your question, 10. Timothy says, Jennifer is thorough with that SOP. Yes, I agree with you. I mean, if you have not watched Jennifer's videos on YouTube, please search for her YouTube channel. She's given quite a wealth of knowledge about SOPs, several things about a study abroad and all this kind of good stuff. So please ensure that you search for her her YouTube channel and follow her, subscribe to her channel, and so that you can get the notifications for every single time she has a video up. So, and she'll tell you more about what she's doing, cryptocurrency, things like that, life abroad, and all the good stuff. So the last question we have here is there a template for English language attestation by the university? Stephen, you need to be very specific here. Which university is this that you're mentioning? Because if you're saying about, is it for this application, for this particular program? Is it for another program? Please be very specific. Send in your comment right down there so that we can answer you. Wanjiro says, yes, you both answered my question. Thank you. You're very, very welcome. And if you're listening to this much later after we have recorded this, so please ensure that you can also reach out to us. Leave your comment. Maybe it's your question. You can join either one of the communities, the Facebook communities, the Kenyan community, or the Nigerian community as well. We are good friends. We share stuff, just for your success. Really, there's no pretty much competition. We know the Nigerians take the day with Erasmus, but we are quickly to their heels, very much so. We are taking to their heels and ensuring that we can get our numbers up. So this is why we are here. So now, before I see any comment from Stephen or anyone else, Timothy, I'm still waiting for you to say something about your question. I want you, Jennifer, to tell us what's your parting shot. If somebody is like super confused, because I always get this kind of comments from people. I'm still confused. I'm still looking at the catalog, wondering what to apply for, wondering whether I should leave my country, wondering whether this is an opportunity for me. What is your parting shot for somebody who is actually listening to this or watching this much later, and they're wondering, Erasmus, okay, really, is it my opportunity? I mean, it seems as if it is for those people who had first class honors, those who had, all these degrees, those people who've already had work experiences and big stuff going on. What can you say about that? Because I know for a fact, you've had this before as well. So. Yeah.
So, I think to start with, I think the travel experience, it's a good one. As Erasmus, I need to sit down where to talk about this. As Erasmus, not just as a student, but under the Erasmus program, you have a lot of leverage, to travel around. Erasmus is one of the most recognized, if not the number one in terms of scholarship and mobility across the world, and especially in Europe. So you have the leverage of traveling across. You're a student, this is actually the time to move around. One thing I really like about Nigerians, um they they try to explore other countries. What is life over there, what is life over here, and try to make their own comparisons. And it's always good in terms of you building yourself as an individual, you building your brand, building your business, or getting work experience, and a whole lot of that. It is good for you, it is good for you for the future, because you're going to meet people. A lot of people you're going to meet now on the Erasmus program are people that will be heading the African Union, the United Nations, Google, Facebook, Twitter, this, that. There are a lot of them. So moving across this Erasmus, moving across countries and all that, it gives you opportunity to meet a wide number of people, make friends, learn. That's one thing about Nigeria. Like Nigerians that travel, as they travel, like they can tell you a lot about these different countries because they've been able to be there. So now, as a person, you're not just limited to your country or what you have always known throughout your life. You're able to know the story of other people, know the story of another friend, which is a different country. You know the story of this, know the story, you know your own story. And so you're able to talk and think like a global citizen. You're not just talking from a particular perspective. And it's usually good, especially as young people, you get this experience, because in the near future it will be really useful to you in making policies and in running organizations and a whole lot of that. It would be really useful to you and it will come handy. And this is more like the time you would have to really do a whole lot of this travel that you're doing as a student, and just relax and all that. More responsibilities will be coming in the future that you might not really have this time, and you would wish you had it. You would really wish you had it. You would really wish you had applied. So if you are confused, first of all, think about the free travels. Think about it very well. You have free money to travel, free places to visit. Uh, you you have new food to try out. The ones you like, the ones you don't like, the ones you would never try again. You have a whole lot of experiences. You have sometimes you might fail, and you remember, during my Erasmus program, I failed this course, I did this, I did that. These are experiences that at the end of it, you will get to sit back and think of it. You will just smile and know about it. So if you don't apply because you think you're not qualified or you think you're not good enough, if you don't apply now, if the next year come, you might still be thinking the same thing. You might still be thinking you're not qualified. So take your chance. What I would say is take your chance. For me, I apply for just one program, but I don't advise people to apply for just one program. Since I think Erasmus is maximum three, I always advise people apply for the three. Don't be stubborn like me. Yeah, take your chances. Like take your chances. Don't be yeah. So take apply for those programs so that it won't be that you'll be like I didn't get this program. If I had applied for this other one, maybe I would have gotten it. So take the chances, the three, so that you wouldn't have room for that. I wish I had applied for this one. Apply for all of them. If you think you have a lower grade and all that, there are other people that have first class. There are people that have second class from Nigeria. There are people that had second class from Nigeria and they got in. So it's your ability. So it's not just about your degree, what you graduated in, but it's also about the last part of it I talked about what makes you stand out as a person. So there are different components to this Erasmus and there are different things they look at. So it's important you're able to look for your strengths. Okay, maybe your strength is maybe part of your weakness is that you didn't graduate with the first class, you made a 2-2. Where is your strength? Major in that your strength. Push it. You have it. Tell your story. You're the owner of your story, so you need to tell it so well. You might not have the number of maybe the number of strengths that me I had, but that your own that you have, major in it, hammer it. See, you would tell your story in such a way that me self that maybe I have strength in all this. I will be looking at it. I will be like, really? Tell your story so well. So don't wait if you're confused, traveling and all that. See, in the future, you might not have this opportunity again. So, what I usually believe is see, live life as it comes. Take it as you are getting it. Apply for it. What's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is that you get the love letter. The love letter is rejection. That's the worst that can happen, and you move on. That's the worst. So, but if you don't apply, you'll be beating yourself up and wondering, what if you had applied? So it's better you just apply, take the chance, apply it. The worst thing that would happen is you have been rejected. You take another one too, you apply and you're going. So it's time for you as Africans, as Kenyans and all that, it's time for you need to visit other people, know what their way of life is. You need to it's not just what you have always known. Home is home. Home will always remain home. But if you have the opportunity to go to different places, those experiences would always be useful, would always be handy. There are memories that would live with you forever, and you will be glad that you had this memory. Sometimes you might have challenges with your Erasmus program and all that, but if you still sit down and look at it, you'll be like, wow, it's actually interesting. Yeah, these are part of the things that comes with it. So if you feel maybe your grades are not enough or your experiences are not enough, it does not matter. Apply for it. Apply first. Let it be so you don't have to start marking yourself down before the reviewer self even looked at it. So put your best foot forward. My dad always says, put your best foot forward. That your strength. Major in it, hammer it so well, package it so well, and just present it. And it makes a whole lot of sense. Like present it, apply for it, and if you don't want to stay in Europe, you can always go back to Kenya, you can always go back to Nigeria or any other part of Africa to go and stay. Like for me, I'm always running away from the cold. I'm like, maybe during the winter period I will run back to somewhere in Africa, and summer I might come back to Europe. That's because it's really cold, and that's my major challenge. So for me, I as an individual, I might finally decide that okay, maybe I don't want to stay here. I'll go back to my country. My country is still my country. But I have things to say when it comes to the UK. I have things to say when it comes to Czech, when it comes to Dublin. I have experiences, and these experiences will live with me. And it gives, even as Erasmus, your is it intercultural immersions and all that, it plays a huge role even in workplaces. There are institutions, like if you're applying to an international organization and they see that, even let's say the international organization is in Kenya, and they see that you've lived in Dublin, you've lived in Ireland, you've lived in Prague, you've lived in the UK, you've lived in Germany, you've lived in Nigeria. I've also been to Ethiopia, I've been to Zambia and all that. It's a mad experience because most of these international organizations, like the African Union, they're working towards, cultural immersions and, cultural interrelations and all that. And this is a huge experience on its own. It's a huge, I can write a whole lot about my Erasmus scholarship. Like, let's say, for example, the African Union is looking for who to bootstrap, let's say, young people's exchange now. I can volunteer to bootstrap it because I've had an experience of moving around. I've had an experience with working with Emma. We mobilized the Nigerian cohorts and all that, ensure they arrive Europe, who has not arrived, what is remaining, your visas. I've been I've had experiences emailing when we were coming to the UK. They call me, as a matter of fact, Erasmus Nigeria, they call me Prime Minister, especially those people. Yeah, the reason why they call me Prime Minister, they say I'm their representative to the EU. And that's because when we were coming, because it was COVID and they sent our CAS, I think it's letter of acceptance, or there's something they call it, and they sent it late. And the only time available for interview was in like 2 months' time. We had to email and talk about, we're supposed to resume school this time. So we were emailing front and back. I was the person emailing, I was emailing the EU, emailing this, emailing that, for them to, help and get us a place to fast track our applications and things like that. So they started calling me Prime Minister, this. Now, if the African Union is able to, maybe they want to set up something about mobility of students or young people's mobility across Africa or Africa and Europe, I have a lot to say and I have a lot to do because I've handled these people. I've worked with the Emma Nigeria, will help people ensure that they get to Europe when they're supposed to get to Europe, will tell them everything they need to know. I was representing my colleagues in the EU, communication with the EU. The EU even invited me for their is it the orientation they had for this new intake. I was there and I spoke with them. I've had that experience. I've moved across this, so it's a work experience, international work experience on its own, moving across these countries. And so just apply. And it doesn't matter whether you have a second class low one or that. The experience itself is a massive one. To be honest, like I hope to one day maybe bootstrap or be coordinate the African Union's something in this dimension. And yeah, I'm going to do very well. No, I'm going to do very well.
Oh, fantastic. This is really, really great. Like, wow, you are the epitome of it is doable for sure, one thing. And I mean, like you said, put your best foot forward. Like your dad mentions, put your best foot forward and see where it goes. Do not, disregard the fact that you can actually do it. And don't say that, oh, I don't think they can pick me up, yet you have not even applied. You've not even begun that first step. So that is a very, very, very good place to leave it at, because we can keep on telling you apply, but then again, the ball is always on your court to actually go ahead and do the work and start the application, and we are here to support you. We are here to listen to any questions, any things that you might be wondering. So what does this mean? What does this other thing mean? So let us know. So I want to finish up with the two questions from Stephen. One, you were saying that you wanted to know whether there's a template to prove that a Kenyan university degree is taught in English instead of taking language tests. No, because what you need to do is go to your dean, ask them for a letter saying that you did your university degree in English. So there's no template really. But what you need to do is also just write to the consortium and ask them whether they can accept this waiver before you just go and do it your own, and then it's not going to be accepted. So please write to the consortium, ask them, hey, I did my university degree in English. Can I possibly get a letter from my dean saying that I actually studied in the English language so that I don't take the language test? So you have to do this before. So it's not like you just think of just going to do it on your own and then upload it there. And then you're like, oh, they didn't pick me up and I put in the letter. So there's not necessarily a template. This is a letter that has to be, of course, on an official letterhead. Ensure that your university that is writing this. It's not like out of the blues. It's something that is stamped, signed, and this is very much easy to actually get. So you just need to go to your university, ask them for that. I don't know whether you need an appointment or something of the sort, but usually, if, for example, from my alma mater in Kenyatta University, if you just go to the Dean of Students office, they should be able to avail these letters because they already have existing templates, because students keep on asking for such kind of things. So I do hope that I have answered your question, Stephen. And Timothy, you mentioned something to do that the course, I asked you which program that you're applying for. Global Intermaster on Wine Tourism Innovation and IMSISS. So really, I have gone through all the three programs here, and I haven't seen any one of them asking for an extra language certificate other than English. Right, Jennifer? So we can check right now as well. But I haven't seen it. I haven't seen them asking, because they say if applicable. Because this is usually thing is with these programs is that they are also accepting people from the European Union. So this is not for you, honestly, because you just need the English certificate, if at all. I've gone through local. I'm just gonna check once again here now as I wait for Jennifer to respond and just confirm for you, Timothy. But Jennifer, you can take it away.
Okay, I think some of the mobilities, I think I've only heard of yeah, like one of the mobilities, but there are usually other options of English, but sometimes there are some programs that would have one of the universities having being taught in a different language, but there are just a few programs. And I don't know if local is there, but I know of it. I think there are just a few. I know someone has mentioned it before, but then there are just a few. But usually there are options for English. I know a friend who is on Glocal, and she's actually in Göttingen at the moment. That's Germany and all that. The She has always been taught in what's it called? She has always been taught in English and all that. She didn't have that complaint of maybe being taught in a different language. So I think there's always a second option if there is any, because I've only heard of a few Erasmus programs. If there's any, there's always a second choice of mobility, which is usually in English. And then just to also add to the person that was talking about templates, out of all the Erasmus programs, I think there is just one university has that I know about that has a template, because my other colleagues just went to their universities. My other Erasmus colleagues from Nigeria just went to their universities and got a letter from their universities, and that was okay. But for the University of Glasgow, that's the only university I know that has its own template. The rest, there's usually no templates from what I know. So there's a template on the University of Glasgow's website. You download it. It's a form where you just download it and take it to your school. They just fill some certain things, sign and stamp, and that's just it.
Yeah, that's exactly my point as well. So like usually it's easy to just get the letter from your dean. Or Timothy, you say that WinTour is your main point of concern. So WinTour does not ask for that. I'm just gonna actually share my screen because I was checking for all those for all the programs that you actually mentioned here. And if WinTour is the program that is of your concern, we are gonna check it together just so that you can clear your thoughts about the language and everything, because I don't think it's an issue. Whichever the case, let's just check together. So I'll share my screen very quickly before we can finish this broadcast. So I do hope that you can see my screen. Just a sec. So if you can see my screen, okay, so I'm right there on the WinTour, which is the one that you're saying that it is asking for some other languages. So let's see, admission requirements. Okay, so here we go. Candidates must present a recent English language certificate, at least a B2 level, according to the Common European Framework of Reference of Foreign Languages. So I'm just going to check whether there's anywhere else they talk about the language, because the thing is, usually with Erasmus, the program is going to definitely be carried out in in English. So, I mean, of course, I do understand the fact that maybe you're wondering, because the probability here in this case is actually, oh wait, sorry about that. It's actually in I think in Portugal, there's France, and there's Italy, and let me see. Okay, here we go. So selection criteria. A group of 28 students are admitted per intake, including scholarship holders and self-funded students. Candidates are evaluated by the Wintour Academic Committee based on the following criteria: your CV and academic track record, motivational letter, and professional project, professional experience in the field of previous international mobility, other languages, especially Spanish, French, or Portuguese, the languages of the participating institutions, 10%. Okay, so I see what you mean here. So the selection criteria in this case will possibly include the other languages, but this is if it's applicable. What I can say here in this case is for sure, because is for you to write to this consortium and ask them whether you do for sure need to get a language certificate for any one of these languages, Spanish, French, or Portuguese. Honestly speaking, I don't think it should be an issue, because the program is actually available for students globally. And that is a very good question that you raise. What I will do also on my end, I will check around and see if anyone can actually answer this question on my end, and I will send a few emails about it, because this is very crucial if this is a program that you're very much interested in and you need to apply for it. So yeah, I will definitely ask that question for you. But what I can say is, for sure, I don't think it should be an issue, but for us to be very sure about it, I'm going to go ahead and ask about it as soon as possible, so that you can get a clear overview of what to expect, so that you do not have any issues in the future, thinking about maybe the reason you were not picked up was because of the language. But if you say that you're learning the German, so in that case for Wintour, it's not going to be to suffice, because if you're learning German, then they don't necessarily need German, they need Spanish, Portuguese, and so on. So Timothy, what I will do, I will definitely go ahead and ask. Okay, so I will ask that, and then I will let you know as soon as I can. So thank you so much. And now I think we are going to leave it at that. We've been here for 2 hours. It's been so amazing. I mean, every single time that you're having fun, time just runs out. And I think we've had quite a good session. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for taking the time and coming in and letting us know your experience. It's been really eye-opening and enlightening. And if you're listening to this much later, like I mentioned, please reach out to Jennifer. She's very much available even on YouTube. You can watch some of her videos as well, and reach out to her in case you are interested in this program. And reach out to me. I'm always available. My inbox is full. Believe me, I am trying. I am trying my very best to answer to everybody. My inbox is full. My email is full. Like, sometimes I just cannot manage to get to everyone. And that's the reason why I really like to bring on people who've done specific programs, so that they can speak about those experiences they've had, and they can answer all the questions that you may have. Okay, so thank you so much for joining, guys. Thank you so much, Jennifer, once again. And I do hope that this session was useful to you, for you to apply for this program, whether it's another program as well. Please feel empowered, feel that this is a program for you, feel that Erasmus is for you. The Erasmus spirit is something that is unbeatable. It's really one of the most easiest processes for a scholarship application. Believe me, when I say that if you go for a Chevening scholarship, maybe you need to write three statements or 3 personal statements. Oh, there's a lot that goes into other scholarships. You have to apply for admission first before you can get a scholarship, etc. With Erasmus, it's pretty much straightforward. It's everything on that website. Just upload what they're asking for and wait for that email. Okay, so now I will leave it at that, because there's so much that we can keep on saying. There's so much that we'll keep on saying even on other social media handles. So please feel free to follow us. Feel free to actually reach out to us, and we're more than happy to assist you on anything. So without further ado, good evening, good afternoon, good morning if you're listening to this in the morning. So have a good one. Bye, guys.